What's up everyone, my name is Brandon DesJarleis and today we're going to be learning 3 basic longboard dancing moves you can do on your electric skateboard. So quick disclaimer with all of these longboard dancing steps is that before you try this rolling, you want to make sure that you can feel confident doing them stationary first. So what I recommend is if you're jumping on your board right here and you feel like your board's shifting around a little bit too much, take your board into the grass, and the benefit there is you're going to be able to sink in, your board's not going to roll away, but it's still going to feel natural. You're still going to feel the flex, you're still going to feel that if you're too far off the side, you're going to fall off. So again, take this in steps. Stationary, grass is a great place to go, then take it rolling here before you actually try it moving.
What you want, don't go try so hard you fall if you can't get.
Number 1 we're going to jump into is the 180 step. The 180 step is the foundation for longboard dancing. It's the first thing you can do to start putting some flow in your style. I highly recommend getting a little bit more confident with riding in your switch stance, just because we are going to be going back and forth between that. What you're going to do, start in a big wide stance. Fortunately, these evolved boards are really big and stable. Front foot comes to the middle, so that's step number 1. It's important you keep your knee over your toe, chest forward so you don't fall back. Step number 2 is going to be switching your arms to here, pointing at your front wheel and stepping into that stance. You want to try and get in as comfortable of a goofy or switch stance as possible. Step number 3, bringing your foot back. On the other side, we're going to repeat that motion. It's going to be front foot to the middle, knee over your toe, switch your arms, point at that front wheel, and step into it. The big thing you want to focus on is that when you're doing this move, you're stepping into it and leading with your upper body as opposed to reaching. That's like the one common problem that a lot of people have with this that makes this move a little bit more dangerous, is if you're reaching, you're going to have a tendency to bring your upper body back and the board shoot out. Second longboard dancing step we're going to be learning today is the cross step. The cross step is another foundational move and is going to help you unlock your style and flow. So with the cross step, again, home base, we're going to want a big wide stance, feet at 45 degrees, feet locked into these pockets here on your evolve board. Step number 1 is going to be bringing your front foot back to right here, almost to where your heels are touching. This gives you enough room in the front to step over. Again, with this move, knees bent, knee forward. Step number 2 is going to be stepping over, boom. Step number 3 is going to be stepping into the front and then coming back. The biggest thing to be aware of when you're doing this is that you are dropping your level with every single step you take. So right, we're going to come from here and we're going to make sure that we're keeping our chest forward, dropping a little bit lower, dropping a little bit lower. And what this is going to do is this is going to ensure that we're not, again, reaching. This is one of the worst moves for reaching. Imagine if I'm bringing my foot back here, standing on this foot, and I go to reach here, the board's going to instantly shoot out. So just make sure arms forward, chest forward, and you're really stepping here like this. Another thing you can kind of play with as you're learning how to dial this move in is that the more forward your feet are when you do this, the more stability you're going to have. For me, it's definitely not a perpendicular move. Even for someone as experienced as me, this is very, very, very complicated to do. So what I recommend, ball your foot right on the center line of the board, feet at 45 degrees or even a little bit more forward, and make sure your feet are touching and you're walking across the board. And doing it this way, you can even get 2 steps out. Or one of the biggest problems people have with this move is they run out of space on their board. That can come from a couple things. One of those things is not starting with your back foot all the way back. So they come here and they run out of space. Another thing that can happen is you take your first step to here and your second step is really big. If that's the case, it typically means you don't have a lot of comfortability riding on that single foot. And what you're going to want to do is break this move down into as many steps as possible. So before trying to do the whole thing, I'd say start wide, get comfortable riding here, and just ride around your board like this for a little bit. Then step number 2, boom, step into here, ride around your board a little bit. Fortunately, with the evolve board, you don't have to push, so you can just lock into this position and cruise around a little bit. And then same thing, boom, ride around like this a little bit. And that's just gonna give you a lot more comfortability and speed and stability on each of your feet individually. So our third and final longboard dancing step for today is Peter Pan. This move is a little bit more advanced because it requires that you carve. How you're gonna wanna work into that is basically getting comfortability, riding with your foot on the complete edge of the board and just riding around in a circle this way, riding around in a circle this way. The reason I mention that is because those other moves we weren't really carving, right? And if you take that same technique and principle of staying directly centered in the board, what's gonna happen is you're gonna step to the edge, the board's gonna kind of go out this way, the board's gonna go out this way, and you're gonna be out of sync. Step number one of the Peter Pan, again, big wide step, front foot, a lot like the 180, but instead of bringing it straight to the center here, you're gonna be bringing it to the edge of the board. You can use the edge of your board as a reference. Here on this Evolve board, I like to use my heel right up here against there. The difference is if you're always in a slightly different place, your board's actually gonna turn potentially up to twice as much. So having a reference point is gonna really help on this one. Step number two is gonna be swinging your hips around, kind of finding balance riding this way for a second before stepping over and switching your feet here. The big thing to keep in mind when you're stepping over with your feet and switching from your left foot to your right foot or vice versa, you're gonna want to step down from toe to heel, right? This allows room for your feet to swap. If you don't do that, your foot's gonna end up way further up here and you're gonna run out of space on the board really quickly. So again, we're gonna go here, heel back, toe to heel to step over, and then you can either step around here, but actually one of the variations I like to do is that as I'm finishing this move, toe heel, I like to kick this leg around and jump into that stance.
I can't sleep.
That wraps up this video on 3 beginner longboarding dancing steps to do on your electric skateboard. I hope this video was interesting to you and allows you more ways to get creative with movement and expression on your board. If you guys are interested in seeing more how-tos, make sure to drop a comment below and we'll see you in the next one. Phew.